Good afternoon, guys. This is Tucker, also known as Hagrid, here for another episode of Tucked In. Wanted to just go over some Bitcoin price action, staring into the abyss. That's really where we're at. We're gonna run through all that, so hit the like, hit the subscribe. That always helps us out. These are all kind of similar places that I think we could be, right? If we're going off 2022, we're in this one. If we're going just based off of our last kind of consolidation, which does look pretty darn similar, then we're there. But we're trying to hold this value area high, right? We're trying to hold it. In my opinion, you lose that, you're going to rotate to the bottom of the range down at like 65, 66K, right? Kind of the same thing. Once you lost this, you rotated all the way down, and then you ended up losing the range altogether. Going back here a little bit, you had kind of a similar thing, not identical, kind of a similar thing, again, not identical, but you've done this kind of little double toppy thing before falling off a cliff many times for Bitcoin, many times, especially when you're doing this, right? When you are coming in a downtrend, you drop big, and then you start setting some higher lows, and then you continue the pattern. So, I mean, bear flag, right? Basic thing to call it, but this is a little more detailed. At minimum, you're going to get that point of control hit, in my opinion. You're going to get that point of control hit, which is 67. Unless you really hold here, man. Unless you really hold 71.5. I don't see a way around us visiting, this area at a minimum, right? At which point you could get a bounce, right? At which point it's definitely possible to get a bounce. But here was my plan. Here was my plan with the whole thing, right? This was my plan with it. I was waiting for 77K, right? I was waiting for 77K, which has been at this point front run. Let's get rid of these. At this point front run. So this is my bias short term, right? I think let's go even lower time frame than that you're gonna get a third drive, right? Whether you get a little fake out from Powell and then a reclaim, and everyone says, "Oh, you didn't buy the dip," and then we come up into here, and oh, you missed the consolidation and the bull run of Q1 2026. Like this is where I think we're probably headed, right here. And I shouldn't have drawn that arrow because my bias is this. Actually, this is kind of what I think the future holds for Bitcoin. Now, that would obviously be ideal for me because I've got this set up already, just waiting, right? I've got this set up. But if we're going to be so weak, right, and not get this bounce from this value area high, and we're just going to kind of bleed down into here, I still, at that point, I'd love to be bearish, and I will be bearish, but I'm not going to short this down in here if we just kind of bleed down from here, like I said. I think it's quite possible that that is the next move, but I really don't think we're going to fall off a cliff without first getting this move. Like, I think regardless of if we go up from here and get 77 or we drop to 65K first and then come to 77, I think this kind of 3 drive into a drop is what's next. So basically, I think 77 is happening regardless, right? It's simply a matter of from where. So that's my bias here on Bitcoin. Ideally, for time's sake, I would rather us just do this now. All right, I'd rather us just go test 77 now and then drop, right? Rather than dropping all the way down here and then coming up for another thing and then all the way down. I think it's either Powell's going to pump us, we're going to recover this daily in a huge way, we're going to get 77 today and then nuke, or what's seemingly more likely is that we're just going to bleed into like 65K, maybe maybe early April, right? Maybe early April, we get this, oh, you didn't buy, the first candle of Q1, and then it's done. So yeah, I obviously Q1 was bearish. Q1 was bearish, and mean reversion does usually happen in Q2, Q3. So I don't know. I'm looking for lower on kind of the mid time frame, but I do want to see 77K taken. Like, I will not be short Bitcoin unless we get 77K. I was technically front run here. That would have been a super nice short at 76. Didn't take it. I want my level hit. I'm gonna be patient. I'm not gonna step in front of this thing until it gets to my level. And even if it does get there and we're gonna break through and it's gonna end up being bullish, we're gonna get a first tap rejection. That's my bias. I think we're gonna get a first tap rejection, at least one of these. Even if we're gonna go like this, you're gonna get this, right? You're gonna get at least a trade out of it. So that's my bias here on Bitcoin. Staring into the abyss, man. We really are. We really are staring into the abyss. And as our equities, as our equity charts, this doesn't look very good. This doesn't look very good. Looks a little better. Probably going to keep chopping. Consolidation required. Bad. I still think this is going to nuke super hard, but it's starting to look a little better, unfortunately for me. I still think you're going to fill this gap. I'm still short this ticker. So if they want to squeeze me a little bit, that's fine. That's why I bought time on the puts. So yeah, anyway, I think big tech and names like Google that absolutely went vertical have a long way down. Long way down. This is the abyss for Google. This is the abyss down here. So yeah, like I said, I think a lot of charts are finally starting to turn over. Take a long look down, right? I feel like this thing is kind of at the top of the roller coaster to some degree. And it's just going tick, 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 tick. And then it's about to just, whoosh. I think we're going to have a whoosh moment. I could be totally wrong and totally bear pilled, bear hold, whatever you want to call it. Like that's possible. I won't deny that. But I don't think it is. I don't think it's wrong. I think a lot of these things are held up on narrative and speculation, obviously, that's a given. But yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of, actual revenue coming in from AI, from stuff like Google and Microsoft. I don't know. I think software continues to get hammered. So, but yeah, that's kind of it, guys. It's kind of it. I think Bitcoin is teetering yet again on the edge of a cliff. So be careful out there. But yeah, anyways, did want to mention we launched a new product called Trader X. It's pretty sick. It's a strategy following platforms, basically. So all of Max's Volume Fusion Pro stuff is on there. Auto strategy following, basically. So pretty sick. Check it out. But anyways, that is it for the video today. That is it. Would be remiss if I didn't mention Trader X. It's pretty awesome, and you guys should try it. But yep, that is it. We are staring into the abyss yet again on Bitcoin and equities. So yeah, be safe out there, guys, and I will be back next week for another video. That's it for Tucked In today. Have a nice day and stay safe.